Hello, so I thought what I would do is start this particular video talking about a review of the SKIF. Okay, you're going to need the SKIF to answer one or two of the questions in the Chapter 9 question bank. And I know we did it in class, but I thought maybe it would be good to sort of quickly review it in case there was any issues, or if you've forgotten it, or if you weren't there when we did it. So let's do it real quick. Okay. First off, you need to get the SKIF. Now, to get the SKIF, what you want to do is you want to go to our home page in Canvas, if you're a George School student, and you want to go to Files, and then from Files you want to go to Downloads for Students, and then you want to find the SKIF, and you want to download the SKIF. Okay, so download it. Don't open it. All right, please don't open it. Don't let it create a new folder. Don't let it do anything. Just download it. Now, I've already downloaded it. You can see down here. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this and get it out of the way. Now, I've created a new sketch here. You can see I haven't even saved. Well, I have saved it. It's called SKIF Test for Class. And I've got it set up. I've got my port open. I've got a short delay. And I have nothing in my loop. Now, if it successfully, well, to get it downloaded, to get it installed, what you need to do is go to Include Library. And then go to Add Zip Library. And then you want to find it. Now, there's a good chance it's in Downloads, especially if you're on a PC. And I think Mac has got a Downloads as well. And you can see mine, I have it set up in a slightly different way. You're looking for a compressed folder. And if it's compressed, it's going to have a little zipper on the side of it. And you're going to find it. And then you're going to say Open. Now, I'm not going to do it again. I've already done it. But you would just highlight it and hit Open. Okay, and then from there what will happen is if it's successful, you'll get a message down here saying it was successfully installed the library. You'll be able to find out if you have the library. In fact, maybe I should have started this way, by going up here to Examples, and if you have successfully installed it, you should see probably at the very bottom of Examples a folder called SKIF, and inside of it you're going to find SKIF Test. So I'm going to open that up. Now, SKIF Test runs just the way it is. In fact, I can just upload it, and we can see that it's going to do some stuff. Alright, so we'll load it, and we'll see what it does. Okay, it asked me for an integer. I'll put in 1. I'll just put in 23. Then it asks me for a float. I'll put in 123.45. And then it's asking me for a character. I'll just choose one. I'll choose A. It's asking for a byte, okay, which is any, basically in this case, it's any value less than 255, but it's also basically any single character on the keyboard. So I'll choose a 4, and we'll see that the character is 4, but the ASCII value is actually 52. And then enter a string. I'll just put in my name. Alright. And it gathered all that information. Now, all those things that I entered were collected into variables. Okay, and we'll look quickly here. The getInt was going to be the variable for the integer, and here's the command. And here's the float. GetFloat was the variable, and here was the command that grabbed it. Here you can see the getCharacter was the variable, and here was the command that grabbed that. The getByte, and here's the command that got that. And last but not least, we created a string, and we used this command to grab it. So if I want to use any of these functions in my sketch, there's a couple things that I need to do. It's always good to have them open up side by side, because we're going to do some copying and pasting. You definitely need to have this library linked to your sketch, okay? So here's the library that you downloaded. We have to link it to our sketch. And then we have to create an object. Now I created an object called SKIF with lowercase letters. You can call it anything you want, but it makes sense to stick with a name like this so it works together. And let's kind of run through a couple of these things just in its simplest terms. I'm actually going to do it by creating a new function. And I think I'll call my new function readInt, or rint, for read integer. I'll copy and paste that. And literally, I'm not going to do anything exciting here. I'm going to take all this stuff right here, and I'm going to put it right here, and then we'll talk briefly about it. And then let me make a call to read int in my loop. Okay, so you can see what's going to happen. The loop's going to call to read int. First thing it's going to do is enter an integer on your serial display. Then it's going to create this variable. Then it's going to call this function, okay, referencing my object that I created, okay, my SKIF object. And then it's going to read the value that shows up on the serial display. It's going to save it into this variable. And then on the next line here, we're going to print this concatenated string, and we're going to include the variable in it. So if I run this, what should happen is we'll end up with a loop because it's in an endless loop. Read an integer, I'll put it in the value 34. And it's got me 34, put it into this variable, but then it's in a loop, so it's already back here again. Now it's waiting for another value. Let's put in another one. Let's put in 2, okay? And now the value of 2 has been replaced, so now getInt is actually equal to 2. I can put in another one. Let's put in 67, hit enter, and now 67 gets sucked inside of this machine, and getInt is now equal to 67, okay? So let's do another one. Let's do the float example. So I'm going to take and copy this, paste it, and I'm going to call this our float. And I'm going to call that our float. Like that. And then I'm going to call our float from here before I forget. And we'll comment out the rint, and then we're going to come over here and we're going to grab all the information and let's replace all of this. Alright, so it's going to put out enter a float, it's going to create the variable, it's going to call the object and the function associated with it, and it's going to read that value, and then it's going to output it back in this concatenated string. Okay, so if I load it, and show it up here, enter a float, 123.456, all right, and you can see that it ended up actually rounding this and only displaying 2. And let's not forget, if we want to display more, we just put a comma, say 3 on there, and run this. And now what we'll end up with is enter a float. We'll put in 123.456. And we should end up with all 3 of the decimal places. Remember, I can do that up to, well, I can do this quite a ways out. I can increase the number of displayed decimal places. Let's do one last one. I'm going to skip read character. I'm going to skip read byte, but there they are in case you need it. Let's do the read string. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it. And I'm going to call this string. And I'm going to replace this. Put this in our loop. Okay. And then let's take and replace the exact same material here one more time. Okay, and I think you can guess what's going to happen. It's going to say enter a string. It's going to create a string variable. We're going to call it inString, and then we're going to actually use the function associated with this object to actually gather that information, and we're simply going to print it out. So if I load this up and we display our serial window, enter a string, put my name in, hit enter. Okay, and it took it in. So hopefully that was useful as a review, and invariably I'll see you again soon.